We are live. Welcome to the Money GPS Live. Thank you for being here today. Let's get this show on the road. If you are tuning in right now, watching this after the fact, this video has gone unlisted, and so you are watching a repeat if that's the case. But if you are here live right now, you are welcome to ask any question that you desire. This is my way of being able to connect with my subscribers and hopefully provide an extra level of detail on top of the daily videos. These videos are done 3 days a week for the live, and I'm considering doing them maybe down to 2 days a week live. That'll probably happen, so we'll see. But for the time being, let's get this on. I'm just setting everything up on my end here. Thank you all for coming in. We got 100 people in the house. What's today? Sunday. All right, Sunday fun day. Okay, everything's good. There we go. Instagram is in the house. Let's do this. Any questions you have? I posed the question of the video of the day being, should I leave the country? Talking about where the safest place to be is. But again, you are welcome to ask any question you'd like. Thank you for being here. Came here for the truth. Leave the country? What country and where would you go to escape what? That's the question I'm asking today, right? Love your content. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Where will we go? Exactly. So let's talk. Let's wait for a few people. Where can I go? Where are you? A lot of questions. US to Switzerland. Do I think that Tether will cause cryptos to collapse? So if Tether, I believe that if Tether, something is revealed, which quite frankly, it looks like there's some shady business. Like whatever you think about it, it looks like there's some shady business happening with Tether. If that's the case, yeah, it's going to have at least a temporary impact. Tether doesn't need to be there for Bitcoin to persist, but I think it spooks the market. They start saying, whoa, wait a second, what the heck is going on? Speaking of which, I could pull up, as we're waiting for people to come in, let me do a screen share. Oh, let me fix something. Do a screen share. I got a Bitcoin chart up right now. Just do this for 2 minutes. Could show you what's going on. So here's the chart. I hope you can see that. Everybody on Instagram, hello. I'm just going to cover something on my screen over here, but you can hear what I'm saying. So what we're looking at is in the left chart, that's the weekly, then we move to the daily, then the 4 hour, and then the 148, okay? So just different times. And what happened was we got to the top of the Bollinger Band, and I was saying, you could see it here more on the 4 hour. We got to the outside of the Bollinger Bands, okay? And clearly with these wicks, you could see how far it was out. So I said, things are getting a little bit hot. I think it's going to move. It can move sideways from this period right here. That's exactly what it did for about like a day. Essentially, it moved sideways, a day or two actually. And then we had, I don't know if you can see it on the smaller time frames. You could see like a tweezer bottom kind of, or not really, but you might be able to see this. So we get this movement. This right here is a 45-minute chart. So all of a sudden it starts selling off. We get outside of the Bollinger Band entirely. And when you see that, you know what's coming, a reversal, and it just skyrocketed, not skyrocketed, but it certainly accelerated. So we broke down below 60 grand, and you know that this range being kind of both a resistance and a support right now, it just rocketed higher, okay? So if I pull up the moving averages, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, we broke through the moving averages and then came right back up. Okay, that's the 20 and the 50-day moving average. And so just look at that. And where do we end up? at the top of the Bollinger Bands. Okay, time and time again, the Bollinger Bands teach you so much about what happens with any market. Now, Bitcoin's a little bit more volatile than the rest, but the principles still apply. Okay, if you watch what happened with the volume, same situation. Okay, it could teach you a lot about that. And right now, it's looking hot. Bitcoin at this time, it is at 62,289, so over 62,000. So while it was chopping around in that range, it was kind of, sitting just above 60,000, and then it falls below 60,000, and then it rockets up higher. A lot of people are looking at this and wondering, is this the next leg up? We'll see. We'll see what happens, right? Nobody knows. Thank you for being here. DeFi, all of these things, all cryptos are too early to know anything, in my opinion. They're building apps, they're doing this, all that stuff is happening, but let's actually functionally use them. Not transactions are happening and it's just not real transactions. I want people to be actually going to the store and buying things with that cryptocurrency. I want people paying for services with these different things. Not you hear about in the news, man buys house with Bitcoin. Okay, no. We need to have actual solid usage, whether that's decentralized finance, whether that is cryptocurrencies, blockchain. Like, let's get the show on the road, okay? Let's make it happen. It would be great. Ghana has a bright economic future. All right. Thumbs up, thank you. Where will oil go? I mean, I've been talking about this all along about commodities. For the time being, it seems just higher. I don't know. I can't make the prediction. I'm just saying from my vantage point and what I'm seeing, oil higher. But then you take a look at lumber. Take a look at iron ore. They did go up considerably, but the spectacular pathway on the way down, I mean, it is just intense, to say the least. So certainly what goes up can come down. There's no doubt about that. I would say that oil being such an important commodity, it's going to behave very similar to the other commodities, the industrial metals and so on. And that's why we've seen it move up like crazy. We have seen it move up. I just don't know. Like OPEC suddenly comes out and says, hey, we're going to print a lot more oil or pump a lot more oil. Then certainly things can change a little bit. But with the shortages, supply chain problems and so on, I mean, there's only so much they can do, really. First time BTC was used for pizza. Yeah, I remember that. Nothing can hedge this hyperinflation. You know, a lot of people today, I've got subscribers who are off the grid or at least somewhat self-sufficient. And I'm not going to say that they're going to be completely okay, but they'll be better off than 99.9% of people. That's just a fact. I mean, if your situation, your personal household, it has some sort of energy or energy backup, you've got the food in the backyard, you've got your water situation down packed, like different things. I mean, what happens to the general public is probably not going to affect you as much. So that's just a matter of fact. No silver, and yet the prices are suppressed. Yeah, everything has been like, you look at silver, I mean, my goodness. Come to Mexico. Welcome. Come to Mexico, guys. The countryside is great. With a little kitten. Yes, you can have your kitten there too. I I'm sure. I'm sure it's nice. And somebody on Instagram was mentioning Mexico as well. I think, yeah, there's probably a lot of places that are very good there. You hear a lot of stuff in the news, and usually when you get stuff from the news, there's an agenda behind it, and they'll badmouth anything. So sure, I'm sure some areas are unreasonable, but you could find that in the United States too. You can find that in Canada as well. There's some areas that are just no-go zones in any city, and other places, all good. Like, you want a place that you can maintain your own food source if you could, or maybe something nearby that there's like lots of farms, lots of available food for everybody, and it's not in a shortage. Like, when you're in a very cold environment, the problem is you rely on the supply chain so heavily. If the supply chain is disrupted, kind of like we have now, then you're in big trouble. So you can live in a colder environment, but like I talk about many times, 1 Yard Revolution, the YouTube channel, he's in Chicago, grows right through the year. He knows how to handle it. He's not all of his food comes from his backyard, but just to show you that you can grow in a cold environment. But the more food that you can grow, I think the better off you'll be. Number one, the health factor. It takes more time, takes more effort, but there's a reason it's good. Excuse me. Go where you're treated best, like Nomad Capitalist says, yes. Thank you. Support. Does living in a bad neighborhood prepare you? I mean, you maybe have to be tough about it. You got to be a tough one, and you got to stick it out. But usually the bad neighborhoods are the ones that are disrupted first. So I'd be careful. Maybe you could learn your ropes there, but you got to have a place you got to have space between your neighbors, or you got to be, I don't know. Something's got to happen there. I wouldn't want to be in a dense environment during a crisis. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for the support. I'm staying in Louisiana, USA. Can't think of anywhere else to go. Thank you for all you do. 275,000. Congrats. Yeah. Some people, they don't want to leave. And ultimately, my message there's 250 people in the house right now. Ultimately, my message is, no matter where you live, no matter what country it is, you can always find good places and bad places. It all depends on what you need, what you want. Maybe the city, you got to work in the downtown core of a city because that's the type of job you have. Well, that's it. So you gotta be there. You gotta be in a reasonable distance from there. Maybe you can live an hour away, and then you drive there and back an hour a day. That's not so fun, 2 hours of driving. But maybe that's what works for you. Or maybe you work remotely, you work online, so you can live anywhere. Then a more rural environment, a more steady and stable environment might be better for you. And I think that's the key. It's that when you look at, where do all the riots and the problems happen? It's usually in the big cities. That's the way I see it. And the 275, yeah, I finally hit 275,000 subscribers, which I'm happy about. Finally, I got like 6,000 subscribers, over 6,000 subscribers in the last 30 days. So it really, really changed, because I was losing August time frame. It was actually going down in subscribers, which is very unusual for a channel to do that. But now it has come back up. So I'm happy about that. Thank you. Many are moving to Mexico. Yes. Like, cheaper cost of living. Right now there's less restrictions. The weather. I mean, there's many different factors, right? Way ahead of you, living out in the Japanese farmland, living on my pension and growing tomatoes. Nice. Love America or leave America? Well, it's up to you. That's up to you. I think that people have this idea that one's country is looking out for them, or that people are looking out for them. If you see and study a collapse, just study the historical collapses, and you realize that people will do anything to their neighbors if it means that that's going to benefit them or their survival. People will trample on each other. Look at just on perfect example, Black Friday. You've seen those videos. People literally stomping on each other's head to get that something ridiculous. Like I saw one video, like a memory card where the savings on that memory card, I'm sure it was cheap, but the savings, maybe $10. Like how much could it have been? Those memory cards are what, $20? And they were stomping on each other's skulls. Imagine what would happen in a collapse scenario. Thank you for the support. Hi everyone, left California last year. Went to Frisco, Texas, Dallas area with my wife. Then we came Moscow this summer. So much better than the USA. Interesting. Very interesting. I hope everyone's reading that. The media projects one thing. People report a different story. I mean, there's different factors too, right? I mean, it depends on your situation, right? As you're saying here, you have a wife. Maybe you're moving to one area and you're elderly, for instance. You want the best healthcare. That's what you're looking for. And so you get people that move to certain areas looking for healthcare, cheaper, but good quality healthcare. And that's what they desire. Other people are looking for, leave me alone. Don't go near me. They go to somewhere in Costa Rica. It just depends. Just depends. But I think that people shouldn't take anything off the table if they desire. Because today, more than ever before, mobility is at its highest. The ability to move somewhere else has never been high. Well, actually, there's a lot of restrictions, actually. But you know what I mean. People are working remotely. People are able to get work wherever they need, this and that. Thank you for the support. All right. Fear not. Jesus loves us all. We need to turn from sin and receive Jesus our Lord and Savior. Nowhere to hide when God judges sin, i.e. the flood of Noah. All right. Thank you for that. We can certainly say that times are very, very challenging now for millions of people. And just look at the food stamp usage. Look at the numbers of poverty. Look at so many different things. All really adding up to some seriously tough times. There's no doubt about it. Thank you for the support. The story in your video with the empty shelves made to look full is hysterical. Also, can you give us the tickers, brah? Yeah. So that was unbelievable. I hope everyone saw that video. The one that I posted this morning. If you haven't seen it, the store shelves, normally you get all your shelves. They had like a tarp or like a printed out piece of paper, effectively, going right down the shelf, made to look like there was food on the shelves. I mean, it's just strange. It's like when they weren't allowing people in the sports stadiums and they put cardboard cutouts of people. I mean, it's just eerie. It's just real eerie. Yeah, really strange. And the tickers, come on, do you need any others than AMZN? 7 shares, AMZN, you're a billionaire. Thank you for the support again. It is crazy that communist Russia has more freedom than the US, West Europe, Australia. What kind of disruption do you expect from the US of the world when? Disruption. Oh yeah, disruption. Do I expect? Yeah, so I think the most important factor is inflation going up. As the inflation gets too hot, which we're basically getting there now, gets too hot, if it continues to just climb and climb, or at least stays that elevated for that long period, and then the response from the central banks, especially the Federal Reserve, has to be an increase of interest rates. But everything today is relying on super low interest rates. If interest rates rise, not even that much, it is going to be chaotic in every industry, in every way imaginable. Okay? That, to me, is absolutely key. People say, they just won't. They just won't increase. They just won't increase interest rates. But if inflation rises considerably, they have to. They have to. See, that's the difference. Cuba? Yeah. Lester, aren't you from Bahamas? I think you were, if I'm not mistaken, if I recognize the name. Cuba, I wouldn't. You could visit. I want that wallpaper. You want to be on the, where is it here? There we go. On the cargo ship. I've been stuck offshore. I'm trying to get to California. They won't let us off. You've been predicting a crash since 2014. I've been predicting it that long, or have you been commenting on my channel for that long? So why 2014? Like, what happened in 2013? Are you still here? Dankest Wrench? It's a good name. Dankest Wrench. If you're still here, like, what about 2013? Was I predicting a crash in 2013? Can you let me know? Lester, good stuff. Save me a coconut. Save me a coconut. Waiting. Still waiting. You're making everybody dankest wrench. I don't really know what that means. It sounds confusing for me, but we're waiting for you. Thank you for the support. Another great week of videos. David, thanks for the truth. Already have plans for a great life overseas where my money is treated best. Good stuff. Keep at it. Just keep at it. My opinion for everybody is that we should take less time to do the things like whatever Netflix and this stuff, and spend that time, allocate it to something that will benefit us down the road, benefit our families, and in the future generations. If we would spend just a little bit more time, if we devote 3 hours a day to television, then maybe make it 1 hour a day to television and 2 hours to something more productive. And over a period, 2 hours, maybe it's not a big deal, but 2 hours every single day, that does add up. Trust me. Okay, I have documented this for myself a long time, and it is an absolute fact. A little bit every day does help. So good stuff, all right? I've evacuated the U.S. based on all of your videos and now living on a catamaran in the Bahamas. Awesome. I definitely recognize your name. That's awesome. You're ready to go at any moment, should you need to, but that's beautiful. Good stuff, everybody in the Caribbean. Good stuff. Make sure you stay fluid. Make sure you can be mobile, agile, whatever term you want to use. That's good. David, you predicted extended stimulus. Thank you for support, by the way. Extended stimulus in 2020. Oh, for sure. They were going for that. Um, I mean, everybody knew that was coming, I think. Just the way that they reacted to it, they had to keep that going. I mean, the political aspect there just needed to be taken care of. There's no doubt. But hey, that's the world we live in today, right? They when you study their actions, it is pretty obvious what they're doing. I mean, they cause a crisis intentionally, and then they got to provide the solution to that. So, yeah, so to address this, I think it's important. Leaving the country is not a solution when a global collapse will occur. That's correct. If all the countries are burning, but I think some countries will do better than others. If you're living in, um, you know, the one problem that Switzerland has is that it's landlocked. Okay, that's one issue. However, they really don't seem to have a problem for a very long time. You could look at an area like Monaco. Oh, you got all those wealthy people, but it's kind of stuck, right? First of all, it's a very, very tiny country, and they're bordered by other countries as well. Or I think it's France all around it, and that could run into some troubles as well. Sure, they got the water there, but you know, just because it's a nice and seemingly valuable place doesn't necessarily mean that equates to safety. I think you want to be in a place where you can be more self-sufficient. I personally believe that the US will erupt, and there's going to be some serious chaos, but there's also going to be places that probably don't even know what's going on. There could be riots in every major city in the US, and there'll be places in the US that literally don't know what happens. So it's not saying that you can't find a good place anywhere. Everywhere you should be able to find a good place. Thank you again for the support. I feel as though real estate in Moscow is overpriced too. You can't rent a place 40 years instead of mortgage payments with low interest rate. 4:30 a.m. That is either really early for you or really late for you. Is it overpriced? Is that what you meant? You can rent the place for 40 years instead of the mortgage payments with low interest rate. It depends. Yeah, it depends on the area. So, sometimes renting, particularly if you're in a place you're not 100% sure of staying for a very long time, rent has a lot of advantages. The only thing is, if you got to stay in this one place because your job is right in this area, you've got the kids going to this particular school, they're part of this program and that program, you got all your family located within a half an hour or an hour drive, you're kind of staying put. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but you got to get your house in order. You got to secure your place. You got to get your situation dialed in. Okay, that's key. And by the way, don't tell anybody what you're doing. That's another thing. I guess I don't really say that, but if you're the one that has backup batteries in your house, knowing that if there's a crisis and everybody's got the power off, I'm just saying, probably don't want to announce that. Okay. I like Andrew Henderson. I'm not on Facebook though. What countries there do you recommend from a health perspective? I only use a naturopath. So I don't know about the healthcare in particular. Like, for instance, Cayman Islands has grade A healthcare, but it's a very expensive place. So it depends. You could probably find some fantastic ones, but then when you go out to like Thailand and stuff, people say it's good, but I don't think it's necessarily the A grade. For the money, it's probably very good. Mexico probably has really good stuff. But then you got to remember, if you move on to a rural area, then no matter where you are, then your access kind of declines, right? But it depends on what type of services you're looking for. If you're talking about health specifically, there's actually a naturopath doctor, Dr. Robert Morse in Florida, who I think is the tops. I think he's just tops. But I won't say too much more about that. Dr. Robert Morse. Started my own YouTube channel, following you. Awesome, good stuff. Good stuff. Just keep doing it every day. That's like the most important factor. Whatever it is that you do, this is for me, I do it every day. So it has to fit into a 7-day regimen. I don't do anything 5 days a week. I don't do anything 3 days a week. I do it either 7 days a week or I do it 0. I just don't do it. And things come up, right? Whatever that is, there's disruptions in your schedule. But if you just commit to doing it 7 days a week, do it every single day. And if there's an emergency or whatever, you can't do it, you can't do it. But the schedule, 7 days a week, that's my opinion. The dollar has been printed into worthlessness. Which currency is safe? I would say that none of them are actually safe, particularly as we move into the central bank digital currencies. I would not want any of my savings to be kept inside of fiat. Despite the fact that real estate is just ridiculously overpriced, I would still, right? This is how crazy it is. I talk about the real estate bubble all the time, particularly in places like Toronto, where UBS rated it, I believe, the second, I would say the biggest, but let's go with UBS, the second biggest bubble on the earth. And I would still say that it's better to have real estate than fiat garbage. That's my opinion. Your repo crisis work was great to see the trend of the unlimited stim. Yes, and I hope you saw that video of 2 years later after the repos came out. I did that video showing exactly who got that money. And spoiler alert, it was all of those that we knew were going to be involved. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, and so on. 2 years later, it took us 2 years to find out the information we already knew. Awesome. Good stuff. Thanks, guys. I think Evergrande payment has an October 23rd. Yeah, a lot of smaller payments coming up this time around. But January is the big deal for Chinese property developers. January is huge. Hello from an American happily living family in Japan. I'm so thankful for your videos and insight. Keep up the phenomenal work. Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for the support. The videos have been getting a little bit more attention recently, which I'm very happy about. Just really grateful for all the new subscribers as well as the people who've been. I know there's people that have been around for since the beginning. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. We got 369 people in the house, 34 minutes in, and only, 177 likes. You got to hit that like. Come on. Do it for Janet. Do it for Don't do it for me. Do it for Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen wants you to do it. Okay, I don't. Do it for Janet. Cheers. People make fun of David, but there are people making money, but preparing for the stuff David has been calling out. Yeah, 100%. Thank you for that. $100%. Okay, on Instagram, From the Federal Reserve or Congress perspective, what things should they do to alleviate the harmful effects of inflation, supply disruptions, and their gross overspending? The number one factor, let me tell you, is to increase interest rates. You can do it slowly, methodically. Tell everybody in advance, this is the plan. As long as inflation keeps going up and the job situation, according to the fake numbers, are all good, we're going to increase it not even a quarter point. Let's do 0.1% every single month. It is a very slow, steady, and predictable increase. The second, if they just said, if the jobs numbers get to this particular level, we are going to stop increasing interest rates. If they go get even worse, we are going to start decreasing at a rate of 0.1% month after month after month. If they just outlined exactly precisely what they would do in each circumstance and say, but before we do it, we will give as much advanced warning as possible. If they just outlined that and highlighted that, there would be no problem. The market would be able to react accordingly. You would never have any sort of taper tantrum. You would never have any of these problems. But that uncertainty creates an issue. And that's what they love, because that volatility is what the financial system just feeds off of. Volatility and fear. That's what the markets love. They love crashes. That's the most important thing. I have been following global economic policy along with David for over 10 years. He is absolutely correct, and you should prepare for the apocalypse. I definitely recognize your name from, I don't know, yeah, if it's been 10 years, for sure. Yeah, like, why not prepare for a very worst scenario? And if it doesn't, that's fantastic, right? Like, why not prepare for the worst? As they say, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Why wouldn't you? It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't really cost you anything to have solar panels on your roof, to have extra cans of beans and rice, to have just different levels of preparedness. You're like, for instance, if you're going to do water harvesting, or let's better example, solar panels. Okay, let's say you live in an area where the solar panels are great and you get the rebates and everything just dialed in. It's all good. You invest, I don't know, let's just make up a number, $20,000, $30,000. The amount of money that you're putting in today is invested today, but what does that mean? Over the course of that panel, which may be guaranteed for 25 years, and hopefully it'll go longer, but you got 25 years to not only make your money back, hopefully get some money back into your pocket, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about power. I mean, this is a real investment. That's my opinion. So I think everybody should work themselves to the bone right now. As much work as your company will give you, or if it's a business, work as many hours as possible in that business now before you have to deal with hardship, so that you've got a little bit of a nest egg, so that you've made those preparations. If you are able to take overtime at your work, my opinion, you should take every hour they will give you. If you have your own personal business, or even if you don't, ask the neighbors, hey, can I cut that grass? You got that grass, let me do it for you. If you don't have a lawnmower, some people I heard, I posted on Instagram before, start a landscaping company. You got the lawnmower, it's free. And somebody said, no, you got to buy a lawnmower. It's going to cost you $1,000 for the trimmer, for the. You can borrow, make it happen. Don't make an excuse. Stop making excuses for yourself. And nobody is going to pick you up by the collar and say, hey, let's go. You got to do that to yourself. You got to give yourself a smack in the back and say, let's go. Let's get moving. Okay, nobody is going to do that. Nobody's going to push you. I can be here to cheerlead all I want, and you can watch all the motivational stuff that you want, audiobooks and everything, but the only one that's going to pick you up is you. Okay? You got to lift yourself up, and you got to make that happen. Those preparations, the earlier you get them in, the earlier you get that dialed in, the better off you're going to be. The better off you can sleep at night. Chaz, welcome in. Welcome. What? Thank you, thank you. Yeah, hit the 275 finally. What is this referring to? Is it me or is it somebody else? Billy? 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 Who are we talking about here? No? All right. U.S. has the best water sources, farmland, and energy resources. I'm not sure what any other country is better set to handle the negative effects of climate change. Most, if not all, of the world will be worse off. It's got some good areas. The only problem is the chance of civil unrest is extremely high. It's extremely high. Just look how quickly some of these cities, particularly, you saw West Coast or Portland and all these other places, just like this, overnight. Overnight, the city is just burning. So that's a concern. Some areas not so bad, but you got to watch out. Definitely got to watch out. But that's only one factor. There are other factors too. You want to be away from people. You can get a mountainous region. You can get a forest region. There's certainly a lot of diversity. Billy says that I was calling for a correction all the time. So let's just be very clear here. Global economic collapse. That's the name of my second book. Global economic collapse refers to the global economy. The global economy is not the stock market. The stock market, when I refer to that, I'm talking about stocks. And stocks, of course, are not the economy. The economy is jobs. The economy is, when I talk about people and their savings, people and their daily activities, what they're doing. Are they going and buying at the restaurants? Are they going and buying at the stores? And this and that. And more and more and more and more and more every single year, the situation becomes people using more debt, people buying little like $20 items, and they're using some sort of payment plan. This is the complete annihilation of the average person's ability to sustain themselves. People are cohabitat. They've got these like co-op living environments that are essentially dormitories for adults, which is not a problem if you want to do that. But the reason most of these people are doing so is because they can't afford to live elsewhere. Okay, big problems. So call for a crash, actually, it's quite the opposite. If you watch my channel, you would see that I have completely correlated the amount of money printed with the stock market. And while I do not give financial advice, while those other guys, the other YouTube channels, consistently day after day after day after day, they tell you buy the dip, buy this stock, buy that stock, I'm reading this ticker, you buy that, probably bought out by these different companies, who knows, it doesn't matter. But the point here is that I have shown, hey, if you notice the amount of money that they're printing, that has a direct corresponding relationship with the stock market. Stock market up, money printing up. Money printing down, stock market down. How did I know this? Because in 2018, they started to reduce their balance sheets globally. And guess what happened to the markets? 93% of assets worldwide declined at the same time when they declined the balance sheets around the world. And we're doing a tightening cycle globally. This is an obvious and direct relationship, though it isn't precise, but that's the relationship that it has. So without saying it, I have told you the way that this works. So, quite frankly, it is absolutely false. If that's what you were suggesting, but I just wanted to make it clear, not necessarily about you, but just in general, because I see that comment all of the time. Global economic collapse has nothing to do with the stock market. Chaz, what's going on? Just like extra steps this weekend to prepare for uncertainty. Buy in bulk items, non-perishables, emergency water supplies, and filled up all of my gas cans. Awesome. Good stuff. Like, isn't that just smart? Like, look, non-perishables, bulk items. Did he buy that and then he's going to, at some point, 2 years from now, he's going to throw it in the garbage? No. He's just going to eat it. But he spent the money today. So if for no other reason, if you understand that we are in a time frame here with heavy inflation, and potentially more inflation as we go forward, at least over the next few months. Who knows what happens next year and so on. That rice, beans, lentils, whatever that was, it's going to be more the next time you go to buy it. So why not buy at today's prices? If you have the space, if you have the means, and so on. I mean, it just makes sense. It just makes sense to buy at today's price, knowing that it's going to be more expensive later. To me, it's a no-brainer. Good stuff. Multiple passports, good. That's key. Multiple passports, I believe, is an asset. That is an asset. You don't hear most people, like in the financial channels and stuff, they don't usually talk. If they're talking about, hey, buy stocks, buy this, ticker, all that, you don't often hear them say anything about a second passport. But that is absolutely, if you can afford to buy your 7 shares of Amazon, you could afford to buy another passport. Yeah, Vancouver is really iffy. Yeah. I'm looking at 30% inflation on seafood and shipping like crazy from the Bahamas to the US. Interesting. Chicago, yeah. I mean, it's hard to know based on what you see in the news, but that's one place I see a lot of news about. That's for sure. After watching your video on China's economy, I sold some stocks to have liquidity to buy back if the market crashes. Yeah, there's always things to do. There's always different ways to look at it. But that's why I tell people, like, you don't have to commit long-term to the markets too, right? You could have part of your portfolio that's just for these swing trades. You're thinking, I think maybe oil's going to do good right now, but don't commit to it. Don't marry it. Don't put a ring on it. You got to say, I think it's going to be good for now. So you put your money in, but you watch it closely and you look at what's going on, and then you say, okay, it's time to sell. And you pull that back. Maybe you keep all your other stocks, but maybe that one particular, whatever it is, you let it ride, and then you say, no, I'm going to pull that back. So you can do that with part of your portfolio. Hopefully in a separate account altogether, you have separate portfolios for short term and another for long term. That's just wise to do, okay? Because you don't want to dip in and stuff. But that's what I would say. If you're the type that can actively trade in things, then you should approach it that way. I don't understand these government programs. One pays you to invest. You get a credit for solar panel programs, then has to end up paying a bill when the solar should be free. The government banks the power. Yeah, it depends on the area that you live in. And some places, I even saw reports of one person that was with somehow connected to the power, the institution or whatever, connected to the power company. That's what I want to say, power company. And it said something like, we don't want that. We ended the program because we don't want that many people to go to get solar, because then we can't afford to pay for our infrastructure. Like, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. Thank you for the support. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Ah, the 7 shares of Amazon. You must be new. So 7 shares of Amazon, for all of my long-term subscribers know what this is all about, or has an idea of what it's about. Essentially, this was just a joke, a long-term joke that I had, just an inside joke. It's kind of silly. And essentially, I have a video about it, actually. If you type in 7 shares of Amazon, the money GPS, there's a video. I'll break it all down for you. And all it's really trying to reference is the fact that people with relatively small amounts of money believe that they have huge influence and understanding, more importantly. It's like, well, I've got 7 shares of Amazon. I know exactly what's going to happen. And ultimately, nobody knows what's going to happen. So it's kind of like the small fish and the big fish, okay? The big, sorry, one second. That was strange. Sorry about that. Weird sound. Where was I? Big fish, the big whales against the little fish. Little fish don't know what's going on. We're just following along. It's like when you see the big fish floating in the swimming in the water, and the little fish are kind of going with its pathway and things. That's what it is. That's what the average retail investor is. How are land prices up in northern Canada? Always looking to buy more. Yeah, it's reasonable. You got to look like a lot of crown land owned by the crown. Yes. So you got to watch out what kind of land you buy. Some of it is like leased. You're leasing it, long-term leased land, so you got to be careful on that. But in general, it's good. The only thing is it's cold. Let me tell you. What are your thoughts on Texas? Is it safe? Thanks. There's a lot of certainly more relaxed policies in Texas than many other parts of the U.S. for that reason. However, many people have said that some areas are really, really changing, and so are the laws, because you've got people coming from California, you got people from other places that are moving to Texas because that's their business, their company moved there, so now they're employed in Texas, and that could change the way things are. It would take a lot probably to change things are, but I just think that, I'm not the best person to ask. I'm not in Texas, but certainly it has its benefits. There's no doubt about it. Also has some downsides. I don't like where it's positioned geographically, but depends. Thank you for the support. Thank you for that. Jimmy, thank you for the support as well. Much appreciated. All right. So I hope you just saw my little rant about that. I'm further up in the chat, so hope you saw that. Would I move to the Middle East? A lot of people are moving to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It's becoming real trendy. You can move there, not pay any taxes, living pretty free, to be honest with you. Geographically positioned, kind of in a dangerous environment, if you ask me. The potential chaos is certainly there with what's going on. Is anything going to happen? Maybe not. Maybe not right in that area of like Dubai kind of thing, but it has some advantage. Like for a period, like some people, their idea is, I'm going to move here for 2 years, and then I'm going to go live in the place or that place because I want to save up the cash, live in Dubai. So in that respect, I can understand. People don't believe the news about like how controlled it is and this and that. It's you know, it's pretty open. Your thoughts on collectibles such as Magic the Gathering, vintage card, any of these like Pokemon and all these different things, collectibles, you have to have the knowledge. You can't just say like, oh, I heard Pokemon cards are good, I'm gonna buy Pokemon cards. You gotta know. You gotta know what you're buying. At the same time, you gotta have an exit plan before you sell it. Anything, any asset. Listen, everybody, listen to this. Before you pull the trigger on any purchase, if your intention is to eventually sell it, you got to already have the plan in place. If it's a stock, you got to be able to know before you buy that stock. You got to know if it's short-term buy, you're going to say, okay, I think it's going to end up another 4 points higher than where it is today. If it gets to 4 points, I'm going to sell. And you don't deviate from that plan. You look at the stats right at that point. Okay, it's achieved, it's 4 points higher. I'm going to sell now, or does it now look like it can go even higher than that? Okay, I reassess, I take it from here. The same situation with any of these other collectibles and things. Know what you want, have a plan before you pull the trigger. Thank you for the support. Much, much, much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Regular viewer. Eric, VIX trading at 16. Wow, number one real estate market begins to collapse. Mass resignations, up to 20 million people with more coming due to the mandates. Global protests, port blockades in Italy, among numerous other nations. Seems cheap to me. Yeah, many people have said that this is going to pop. It's going to pop. And that's the way that seems very logical, really, when you think about it. So in that respect, I know it seems quite likely, but we never really know. But I mean, there hasn't, like, think about it, that dip, we had a 5% dip down in the stock market, and everybody was freaking out. Like all the people in the market, oh my God, what's going to happen? The Federal Reserve better not taper. No. 5%? 5% is a sneeze for these markets. Is it too late for the Amazon GPS considering the ports are stuck? No, not at all. You're going to get some delays. Personally, for me, when was the last shipment I had? Maybe last month? I think it was in September. There wasn't a delay for me. Was not a delay. But I'm considered small fish, right? Compared to the big players. So maybe they're dealing with bigger problems, bigger shipments, bigger problems, I guess. But in general, I would say no. I would say, don't let any situation stop you. It's just, what's the worst that could happen? It runs out of stock. Okay, no worries. That's the thing about Amazon. It's like, so let's say you're selling a product. My goal is to sell a product for $30. My break-even price, like after expenses and fees and everything, is $20. $10 is my actual profit margin. Okay, cool. So what do? I'm selling it at $30. It's not selling. This thing's been on here for 2 months. I can't move the units. What do? I bring the price down to $20. That's my break-even price. It starts moving, and that's it. I get rid of that inventory. It's gone. There's very minimal downsides if you do the homework. That's what I teach in the course. I actually had somebody yesterday who said my course wasn't good. A free course that literally has like 60 videos in it. It wasn't good enough. Cheers. Evergrande calls. The funny thing is it went from $2 and change to $3 and change. Somebody made money. Yeah, just talking about the border. Number one, it seems to get a lot of like hurricanes and things. Every time that happens, big disruptions. There's flooding. People are, they're displaced from their homes. This and that. And at the same time, you just got the border situation that's always erupting, and you never know what's going to happen there. It affects obviously the border towns more so than anywhere else, but still, it's a problem. It's just you want higher levels of probabilities. Any area around the world could be disrupted. Anywhere. You could be in the middle of Switzerland and it could be disrupted. You could be in the mountains, it could be disrupted. Okay, you could have an avalanche, God forbid. That's not the point. You want to increase your probabilities. And that's why I talk about in my second book, Global Economic Collapse, I spoke about essentially getting prepared in the ways of having the solar panels, having your food and so on. Why? Because that increases probabilities. That's all. So if you can increase your certainty by doing these things or buying these things, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you, right? Just makes sense to me. Instagram shut down on me. 1 hour. That means we've been doing it 1 hour. We had 363 people in the house. Thank you for being here. We have had over 5,000 people come on through and only 291 likes. You got to hit that like button, guys. Come on. Hit that like button right down there. All right. Instagram's coming back in the house. All right. Dubai is pretty controlled. I'm not saying that it's in a sense it's not controlled. What I'm saying is, you think everybody's got to wear a scarf on their head and all this. Meanwhile, people are drinking alcohol and they're doing whatever they want, it seems. Is the Evergrande fear that the Chinese will sell U.S. treasuries to have liquidity as all their bonds tank? I don't think so. I think because of what I talked about in the video that posted this morning, if you haven't seen it already, it literally already got over 50,000 views. Okay, so definitely check it out. And essentially what I talked about is the fact that this is the real estate as an asset class in China is worth $62 trillion. 62 trillion. So they're going to do everything they can to protect it. And that's the issue, okay? It just shows you how many jobs are surrounding it, the GDP surrounding it, the commodities that they purchase. That people think, whatever, screw China, screw this and that. If you're Chile and you have exporting copper, you love China. If you're Australia and you're exporting coal, or you're exporting, whatever it is, iron ore or what have you, you love China. Why? Because you can keep doing that. Those people that they're building up ghost cities, which we can laugh at, they're buying materials from all around the world because they can't meet their own demand. And so, that's keeping the world's economy moving. As crazy as it is. So that's what I say. So we got to pay attention to that. We got to figure that all out. Okay, that's all. Do you think the silver premiums will go up this week due to the shortages on silver products? It could somewhat. It absolutely could somewhat, but I wouldn't necessarily count on anything to do with silver or gold going up for the time being, just because, although silver did go up as far as I'm aware. Gold. Let me see where we're at before I talk about this. 23. Yeah, but it's still down heavily. I mean, silver was at 20. You can't see let me just put my screen on here. Might as well share the screen. We can look at it together. Okay, so what we got here, gold 1771, silver 23 bucks. I mean, it's up from where it was at 22, just under 22. But just a few months ago, this thing was at 28. And now what? I mean, it never seems to go up. Commodities, think about this. In the last year, look at this chart for silver. In the last year, commodities have just gone straight up, straight up. And yet silver is lower than where it was a year ago. It's crazy. It's completely crazy. It started the year, silver started the year at what, $26? And today it's at under 24. It's just wacky to think of how important silver is, and yet there's no love. It just never gets any love. Silver is cheaper today than it was 10 years ago. Yeah, and look at what it was back in 1980, and then think about inflation on top of that. Like, it's way below. Live on a boat? Yeah, I'm right here on the boat. I'm waiting to get on shore at LA Long Beach, trying to bring this. This is some full-size cutouts of Janet Yellen. But, speaking of which, I was thinking about actually getting, just for fun, some full-size cutouts of different characters, whether it's Janet Yellen, whether it's Little Munchkin, or whoever, and doing that on the lives. I think it would be funny to have on the lives, like sitting behind me over here or something. It'd be cool. Smash the like. Can't find the like button. Maybe I accidentally ate it because I'm hungry. Well, what can I do, right? What can I do? Somebody mentioned Malaysia, Cambodia, Thailand. I think Malaysia is probably the sleeper. I think that could be the best place. But anyway, it depends on what you're after too. I'm waiting on my e-visa. Assuming all goes well, I'm leaving the United States on Halloween and don't plan to ever move back. Well, I hope it works out for you. I hope where you're going is steady and stable and you're able to make it work and have the success that you desire. Good stuff. If you have millions, you'll have a good time in Dubai. You'll have a better time. Hey, if you've got money, you're going to have a better time wherever you are. But it's not actually, it's quite reasonable. If you live in a big city right now, you're in Toronto, New York, San Francisco, Miami, whatever, and you go to Dubai, it's probably cheaper in Dubai based on what I've seen. Dubai will have digital ID for all residents. Oh, probably. Any big city is going to have the sort of the Orwellian systems. No doubt about it. Get interest rates back up to the long-term historical range of 12 to 15%, and most of these problems will go on the way on their own. I agree with that. I don't even think they need that 12 to 15%. 5%. I think would be a huge, massive, massive change. I think the entire real estate game is going to change considerably because right now, what people are doing with the cash out refinance is not going to work like it did before. There's going to be a lot less activity in real estate in general. And that's good because it's too hot. It's way too hot. How do you buy, hold, and long foreign currency? Depends if you just want to do foreign exchange or you actually want to buy the bills. You can go to a foreign exchange place and they often will have a lot of the currencies you're looking for. I think you need to listen more to Kyle Bass about China. I'm sorry, but you don't have a clue what's really going on in China. No disrespect. It's nothing but a house of cards. Kyle Bass is probably 99% of what he says is just anti-China comments, which is fine to be report information related to it, but he's clearly going beyond that. It's more of an agenda and a heavy bias against it. He has certainly made accurate bets before, and he has certainly like the bet against Japan that he has still hasn't panned out. I don't know what he's doing now, but yeah, I don't even know. He's just really trying to be very anti or against China, and that's fine for whatever. But it's not necessarily doesn't necessarily make sense to me sometimes. I'm not sure why. Whenever they need an anti-China article, they usually pull him up for an interview, and then use his quotes. Michael, a rare commodity you can find undervalued. We're talking about silver in that case there. Thoughts on carbon credits? I don't want anything to do with carbon credits personally, whether that's being forced to pay for them or whether that's buying them at all. The last time I remember years ago checking into it, looking at the Rothschilds own some sort of carbon related exchange. I just don't want to do a business in any way, shape, or form related to it. Probably could be good because they're going to charge everybody to breathe. So back on the cargo ship, RC, where you go in America is still worth fighting for, and I am staying put to tough it out. This right here, I'm going to LA Long Beach. I'm just stuck outside LA Long Beach. That's all. In Dubai, we had a few folks get arrested at their hotel after bringing some women that weren't their wives to their room. It was a bad scene. Interesting. Vegas, what worries me, so I think it's more free than a lot of the places. I think you can still get homes for reasonably cheap. You can grow food all year round. There's many things to say about it. However, one of the things that I would say is Nevada is like testing grounds for every type of new weapon, nuclear weaponry, like all these different things. And I don't understand how the fallout doesn't affect the wider area. They say it doesn't, but that really concerns me. I don't know. But that's just going from my ignorant point of view on the subject. The people involved, maybe the radius, it's all good and okay. That's really what the concern that I've always had. Should abolish. I think the Fed, just audit the Fed. If we don't even talk about the abolishment, don't end the Fed. Let's just audit it. Top to bottom audit. Starting from now and go backwards, work all the way backwards. Every dollar, who got the money, where it went, where it is now. Where is the so they audited the Fed with the $16 trillion back in, after financial crisis, but I think the information came out in like 2016 or something. Came out many years after. And they found, hey, they gave out $16 trillion. Okay, where's that money now? Well, we don't know. Like, we don't even know what happened after. So we need an actual audit. If they say, okay, well, this is, we can't tell you because of this and that, give it from 2 years ago and before. Let's make a concession, okay? Okay, it's private, it's secret, whatever. Sure. Okay, give us 2019 and before. Let it be known. Why? Because as soon as those numbers come out, everybody's going to freak out. Because there's been so much money, and then they're gonna have to make excuses. Oh well, we gave that bank $10 trillion, didn't tell anybody about it, and then we have never seen the money since. Nobody, or individuals, you just get money just going into like bank accounts. Nobody knows what's going on with this money. Nobody knows. Audit the Fed, and that will end the Fed. But they know that. Roger, thank you. Thank you for the support. And again, thank you for the support. Appreciate it. New 15% minimum global corporate tax rate effect. Where to go? It seems like it's 130 countries signed on, and I haven't looked it up yet, but Cayman Islands. I had heard Cayman Islands was part of this as well. And that's just strange. It doesn't make sense to me. because they don't have tax. So there is no corporate tax or income tax or wealth tax or inheritance tax. So I don't think that they're necessarily applying a tax. I just don't think so. So I think there's more gray area to it, but that's a big problem. Getting taxed. Getting taxed is always horrible. And if people that love taxes, there's some people who love taxes. If people would just actually look into where the money is spent. Hey, I need the roads and the infrastructure. Okay, if you look at for every dollar, like 7 cents goes to the roads and infrastructure. Okay, but that's the roads and infrastructure. That isn't actually like the cost of the roads and the infrastructure. No, there's the bureaucracy. There's they had a party for this and that. They had a celebration. Somebody's paying for that. Guess who it is? It's the taxpayers. They need to put signs up to tell people this or that. They got to print the signs out. They got to pay the company to do the signs. Who's paying for that? The taxpayers paying for that. Okay, so it's like all of that. And I bet you out of that 7 cents, it's probably more like 4 cents or 3 cents or even less. Okay, that's what it's all about. Your money is squandered. It's absolutely squandered. Fort Knox is empty, but little Stephen Munchkin, he said it was all there. He posted to Twitter. On Twitter, he said, I saw it. I saw the gold. And he was following the yellow brick road. I mean, he wouldn't lie. I mean, he was the Treasury Secretary. He's a very trustworthy guy. Okay? So trustworthy. Any thoughts on the best method of transfer money internationally? In my case, the US to Japan. I would say probably so you got to move money out on the other end of it. If you don't worry about the paper trail, then just do it. Go through simple systems. Even like a company like TransferWise or something has very, very low rates to convert currencies, transfer in the money, or you can they may have some sort of US dollar account there. So you're not paying any conversion fees. The money moves over. Just use your bank if you don't mind the paper trail behind it. If you want the money to disappear, then there's a different story, the whole different situation. But yeah, for the most part, even companies like I said, like TransferWise, or you can use sellers funding. I think TransferWise is probably the more popular. And it's super low rates, conversions, everything, all integrated. Loving the rants. Donk Craterton, is this one of the haters? There's so many, I can't remember all the names. Civil unrest is coming more and more aggressive, hostile, and violent. It is true. You see it all the time. I mean, there's crackheads on every corner. Forgive me for, I don't know if that's a bad term or whatever, but I'm not hip to the scenarios. I mean, I know people get offended with lots of terms and stuff. But anyway, you go to the corner of any street corner, there's guys who are just really out of it, and it's just on every street corner, and they're getting aggressive with people and they're screaming at people, and you just wonder what's happening. I used to come here all the time and things were real calm, and 10 years later things have really changed. It's any big city. Hamilton, yeah. Although, hey, look at the price of the real estate. Doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, Doug Ford. Yeah, he was an interesting character, to say the least. But now the premier, which is the equivalent of the governor, of Ontario is his brother. So it doesn't necessarily run in the family, but it's a problem everywhere. It really is, and that's unfortunate because people need to get wise. They need to get straight. They need to get their situations in order, whatever that is. There's lots of factors there. Transfer money to Japanese bank. I had to go through my bank. It was a $25 fee. It took a few days. Yeah, it's not a big deal anymore to transfer money internationally, but currency conversions and things you got to watch out with that. It might be a little bit expensive depending on where you go. Some of these companies, like I said, I think TransferWise is really cheap. Some places you can get really good really good prices, but your regular bank might charge like a 3% fee, whereas you can probably get like half of that. And of course, if you're moving a lot of money, that's going to be a big difference. Lightning Network with Bitcoin. The only problem is if you move money in and out, like if you don't want the Bitcoin and you want the fiat, moving it into Bitcoin and then moving it back out, might be a little more risky, probably not necessary if you don't care about the paper trail. Chaz still here. Good stuff. Bitcoin is the answer. You said what I was just typing. Audit the Fed. That would kill the Fed. Just want an actual count on the repo money that has been paid out. Tired of supporting this. Yeah, there's no reason whatsoever why that information shouldn't be public, at least to Congress or something. They could say like this is, can't get out to the public because then foreign company, who knows, any excuse. Somebody should be able to know what goes on there. Somebody, okay? There's no reason. Puerto Rico, yep. Lower tax area, definitely a lower tax area. There's no doubt about that. So a lot of people, they're making good money. Maybe they made money in cryptos, maybe whatever. But the nice thing is that you don't have to give up as a U.S. citizen. You want to move to wherever. You still got to pay tax in the U.S. That's the one issue, and that doesn't exist. I think there's like one other country in the world that's like that. The way it normally would work is if you move to a different environment, now suddenly you are using their tax residency. You're taxed, so there's residency and there's tax residency. And suddenly you move into a new place, now you're with their taxes. But, in the US, you're a citizen, you got to pay your taxes no matter where you are. So it's a different situation for US citizens, which is why people give up their citizenship. Whereas, if you're from Canada, UK, whatever, if you leave for a longer period of time, let's say 7 months, so you're out of the country 7 months, you're no longer a tax resident of Canada. You fill out the paperwork and that's it. Away you go. My friend Nikki Benz would have been a better mayor. They, honest to goodness, I don't know who they choose sometimes, but it's just hilarious. It really, probably would have been better. Um, it's it's true. Yeah, it really is true. Do you see one more booming in the oil and gas industry? For now, it's going to go, I mean, the prices are going to go up. Natural gas, gasoline, your gasoline, it's going to go up, at least for now. The only thing, and this is crazy, the only thing that could save us is a big collapse because then that would reduce the demand. That's what's really needed right now on so many levels. We need a crash in the markets and we need a crash in the economy. And we just need everything to cool down because it's too hot. You look at history, things go up, 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 up. Housing prices go up. People are throwing money around everywhere. Look at what happened during the dot-com boom. Oh yeah. You've got a business. We don't care what it is. It says .com in it. Here's some money. Here we go. What happened with the SPACs? That just dissolved. All those nonsense SPACs. That's going to go down in the history books, okay? They're not done, but that craze of, hey, it has the word SPAC in it, we're just going to throw money at it. This has to stop. Economy got to slow down a little bit. They pumped in trillions and trillions of dollars. We still can't get, the situation in order. Look at US. You think US pumped in a lot of cash? Canada, as it relates to the economy. So you compare to the GDP instead of necessarily in total dollars, it was like triple the amount. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So anyway, to answer your question, yeah, I think oil and gas for the time being, but like I said, economy starts to slow down, could reduce. In terms of OPEC, that's another one to follow. You never know what OPEC's going to do. They meet, suddenly they say, we're going to pump more oil, price is going to come down. But not, in general, commodities are going up, right? So that kind of pulls, a rising tide raises all ships, I guess they say. So that kind of will move in that direction. Should I buy a car right now? Well, it looks like the car prices are increasing. So if you were going to buy it 3 months from now, it's probably better to buy it now. Do you need a car? Is your car currently okay? That's it. And lock in your interest rates. Don't, whatever you're doing right now, lock in your interest rates. That's real estate. That's any sort of debt. Lock it in as long as you can. Yeah, so the subject is something I got to watch out what I say, but I don't think so. I think people, there's such a small minority of people that are not accepting to the circumstances that it just won't make much of an effect. That's my opinion, but we'll see. Like people, hey, they've got to work, they've got bills, they've got family, so they say, I don't want to do that thing, but I had to. And now their phone, their spy device, is now now has their papers on it, right? You know what I'm talking about. I gotta watch what I say. So apologies about that, but I just gotta watch what I say. I hear that Governor DeSantis says that Florida is open for business and invites some cargo ships to the Florida coast to unload to help with the congestion of the coast. Yeah, there's a lot going on in Florida, actually. Even when I saw mayor of Miami wants to pay government employees in Bitcoin. I mean, Florida is looking different in many respects than the rest of the U.S. altogether. It's becoming the polar opposite to California. Like total polar opposite, at least just viewing it from the outside. And there's different parts to Florida as well too, but that's the way I see it. But that would be good. I mean, there shouldn't be one major port. That's just risky. What if some serious event happened at that port? Imagine not only is it slow, but it's completely gone. It's obliterated. Something happened. Okay, now you're in a serious. This should be split among as many ports as possible. It just makes sense. I think there's a super chat. Where is it? There it is. Thank you for support. You think higher oil prices will push more renewables? The way I see it is, regardless of what you think, you like the green energy, you hate the green energy, whatever, The governments are pushing in that direction. So we've already established that the money, the big money, is going in that direction. It's already in place. They're saying we are going to abolish gas cars by this date. We are going to go all green energy by this date. If your car is a polluting car, you're going to face taxes and whatever. The governments are going in that direction. So I think regardless, that's it. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. And oil prices likely just going to keep going up for now. For now. Whether, what happens in the near future, I don't know. But at least for now, it seems like it'll stay quite high. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. I've lost so many comments. Oh my goodness. Good stuff, guys. Unfortunately, after 23 years on my job, 60 years old, I'm going to have to leave soon. Yeah. So much for our retirement plans. There's a lot that you could do, Susan. Do whatever you can. I got to watch what I say. If there's any way to get out of that, try. Do what you can. Make it happen if you can. And you know what? There are other people out there, other employers out there who are accepting to it and saying, if you're in one of those people in that circumstance, come to us. Okay, I specifically saw Grant Cardone in Florida posting saying, if you don't want to do that thing, then you can come, you can work here. We want people. And you make that choice for yourself. We don't want anything to do with that. So it depends on the area you are. Of course, there's regulations, there's restrictions and all this stuff. But I understand what you're saying. That's all. But anyway, it's just liberty. That's what we need. We need liberty. And what I find too often, I'll end off with this and then I'm going to go. What I find too often is you've got one group pushing an agenda and there's another group saying, no, your agenda's bad, my agenda's better. And they still don't realize, they can't come to terms with, we just need liberty. You do what you want to do. If you want to do that, by all means, go ahead. People like alcohol, for instance. People like to smoke cigarettes, for instance. I don't like that stuff. But you know what? By all means, go ahead. Enjoy it. I don't want any part of it, but I'm not going to sit there and tell people don't do that. Go ahead, please. No, and I'm not secretly inside saying, I hate that person. I hate what he's doing. That's their life and they can choose what to do with it. They can decide what to put into their bodies and what they want to do with their money. There should be no income tax. There should be no theft. Why is the government allowed to take from you? I mean, it's the most shocking thing when you think about it. When you actually sit down and I've sat there and thought, they are taking money away from me. I just earned that, and now I got to work all the way into July to start making money. I mean, but we just accept it because hey, that's the way it is, and it comes off when people are working 9 to 5. It comes off the paycheck before they even get to see it. Terrible stuff. But that's the world we live in today. That's it. Okay, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Oh, there's so many. There's so many questions. I want to answer them all. The founding fathers would think of this in America today. I think they would be very disappointed. But I think what it would come down to is the states decide, not the federal government. And that is on many, many levels. Silver and gold. Gotta love you, silver and gold. Yes. All right. Let's see what we got. Good stuff. Okay, I'm out of here. Everybody, definitely check out that video that I posted this morning, and I've got some good ones. What about this? We'll give you a little hook for the end of the video. Goldman Sachs, let me pull up this in the background here. Goldman Sachs sold 16, no, 1 second here, everybody, 1 second. Goldman Sachs, I had it right here. Sold $16 trillion worth in the third quarter of their equities and debt. So out of their portfolio, they sold off $16 billion worth. This is big. I'm going to make a video about this. Stay tuned for it. And I'm going to end it there. That's a little hook for you at the end. And that's all. I will see you hopefully Friday, if not Saturday, for the live again. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. See you there, guys. Thank you very much.